Now, news that works for you. This is WGXA News.
Happening now on ABC 16 News at 11, continuing team coverage as flooding sweeps across middle Georgia, how business owners are reacting to the damage tonight. Plus, we're working for you to find out why floodgates were opened in Milledgeville. And a child is dead tonight after a Christmas Day wreck in Byron, what witnesses now say. Well, good evening and thanks for watching ABC 16 News at 11. I'm Raymond Tubb. Well, first up, we begin tonight with severe weather. 8 middle Georgia counties dealing with heavy flooding. We've got some loud rain on our studio roof right now. Joining us right now is Chief Meteorologist Jeff Cox for our first look ahead. And Jeff, flooding's still a big problem tonight, and now we've got more rain falling.
Yeah, it's exactly what we don't need. Now, at this point, I don't expect the river levels to go back up where they've started to go down, Raymond.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, it's good news, but I think holding steady is at least expected with the rain that's coming tonight and over the next few days. Let's get you the latest look out of our tower cam, where it is a deluge tonight, folks. The rain, we'll classify it as cats and dogs. And it's the last thing we need with areas still dealing with flooding tonight. Now in Macon, we'll document it in just a moment with our team coverage, but the Ocmulgee River has crested and it is on the way down. But that water is going downstream, and so areas south of Macon and Warner Robins are still dealing with flooding. And for them, rain is definitely the last thing they need to see. Here's the latest look at the radar, and we just had a huge downpour come through downtown Macon. In fact, let's show you Bibb County, and it's that red shading that just moved over the station. And I'm telling you what, folks, it's the loudest we've heard it rain here in several days, even probably harder than the rain we had last week. And it's those embedded areas of very heavy rain that are going to create some havoc tonight if you're venturing out. But notice there's plenty of yellow and orange on the map as well. That is moderate to at times heavy rain, and that'll continue to plague the area off and on through the overnight hours and into tomorrow morning. Now, don't be surprised if you hear a rumble of thunder, but at this point I do not expect severe weather, so that would be good news heading through the overnight hours. And to make matters worse, this is not the only rain chance this week. There is more rain in the forecast. We'll talk about that, plus just in time for a new year, a new weather pattern in middle Georgia. I'll have that in my full forecast in just a few minutes. Raymond?
Well, shop owners at Beach Crossing Shopping Center in Byron have waited for days for floodwaters to leave their parking lot. Byron city officials say that they do have a plan to help out. The owners of the Beach Crossing property say that they were frustrated because the pipes can't handle the amount of rainwater that we saw. And they say that they want Byron to do something to prevent this amount of flooding from happening in the future. Byron Mayor Larry Collins says that he will introduce an ordinance for a new stormwater utility to be charged from businesses that keep a lot of soil from soaking up water, for example, those with large parking lots.
And there's really no fair and equitable way to do this except by how much of the soil you're preventing from being used for soakage.
Mayor says the new ordinance will go into effect next year, but the property owners at Beach Crossing say that they hope the city will also replace the current drainage pipes with bigger ones. Right now, all the shops at Beach Crossing are back open again for business. Well, the majority of the flooding along the Oconee River can be traced back to Lake Sinclair Dam in Milledgeville. And tonight, residents along the Oconee say they're not happy about the flooding that they saw in their neighborhoods. Some are blaming officials and Georgia Power for allowing the flooding to take place. But ABC 16 is working for you to find out why those floodgates are open.
Sinclair has a total of 24 gates that each can release 10,000 cubic feet per second of water. Last week we opened 7 gates. Sunday we opened 2 gates. As of 3:30 on Monday, all of our gates are closed. We opened those gates under high flow conditions to allow the river to flow as it naturally would, and that's all outlined under our license with the federal government. The rain we've seen over the last 5 or 6 days, to more than a week, has been very severe, very historic. We're seeing areas that don't usually flood. I will say that when we opened the spillway gates at Plant Sinclair, we did follow our processes and procedures, which is sounding sirens in the local area, as well as alerting local officials and residents who have signed up for an automatic notification system. Unfortunately, the rain has been severe, and we definitely are seeing flooding around the state.
Well, Lake Sinclair actually saw so much rainwater and water coming in that it was actually above full pool level for a little while, even after the gates were open. Georgia Power says that right now all 24 of Sinclair Dam's floodgates are closed. Well, more than 12 residents in the city of Dublin had to evacuate their homes because of extreme flood conditions over the holiday weekend. And more flooding is expected to continue. We caught up with Angela Woodard, a resident of River Ridge Drive and Hudson Road, who tells us the ordeal has been challenging.
It was horrible. Christmas Eve, should be an exciting time and a happy time, and we were busy trying to get everything moved to higher ground. We opened up Christmas presents Christmas morning, and then Christmas Day we spent the rest of the day moving stuff yet again. So it's been an experience. I wouldn't wish it on anybody.
Today, officials disconnected water to several homes in the area because of the risk with the flooding. Several neighbors in the area say that they're hopeful they'll be able to get back to their homes by Friday. Well, in Macon, for the first time in several days, the Ocmulgee River is finally falling. After cresting at 27 feet, the river is now down to 23 feet and continues dropping. It's the highest the river level was in Macon since 1994, when Tropical Storm Alberto caused catastrophic flooding. This flood will rank as the 7th highest on record. It will still take several days for the water to drop below flood stage. The Ocmulgee Heritage Trail and Amerson River Park remain closed. Once the water level drops, crews will have an extensive cleanup and repairs to make. The Walker Road landfill did reopen to the public this morning, and you can check out this video from Daniel Wimberly. It shows just how high the Ocmulgee River got in Macon. This is normally where Bonds View Road would be. Over the weekend, it was open to boats, but no cars. Well, tonight the Amerson Waterworks Park remains closed, but drone pilot James Sansing got permission to go in and video the conditions there. He shared the video with WGXA, and you can see some roads and walkways are still underwater, and while floodwaters left behind a thick coat of mud on other areas, some areas are still flooded. It will be several more days before crews can get in for cleanup and repairs at the popular recreation spot. Well, further downstream, the Ocmulgee continues causing moderate flooding in Hawkinsville. The river there already topped 29 feet, and it's still going up. It's forecast to reach 32 feet by Wednesday. At least 12 homes are expected to flood on the south end of Hawkinsville. This is going to be the highest the river level hit in Hawkinsville since the flood of '94. And in Wilcox County, the Ocmulgee is still rising. The level is forecast to pass the major flood level by Wednesday night. Homes are expected to begin flooding on the west side of the river in Abbeville, just downstream from the boat ramp and park. If people aren't already out, officials say they're going to have to leave by boat now. High water along creeks and rivers in Dooley County forced about 50 people to evacuate over the weekend. Sheriff Craig Peavy told WGXA News a few people chose to stay at their home, but they're not in any danger because of the bend in the river there and the Crisp County Dam opening its gates. Water from Turkey Creek backed up into people's yards and houses. Dooley County Sheriff's deputies, along with the DNR officers, are monitoring roadways over the next few days while flooding there continues. Well, the Flint River also causing problems, especially in Macon County. A state of emergency was put into place over the weekend. Local officials put sandbags along the Montezuma levee for added protection. But they did get some good news today. The river is falling there after topping out at 22 feet, and it should drop below flood stage by Wednesday. And in Oglethorpe, neighbors at a mobile home park are looking for help after flooding there. People say water in some parts of the C and A mobile home park is waist deep. Flooding from the Flint River forced water into Buck Creek, which is flooding the mobile home park. Some people use boats and four-wheel drive trucks to get through the water. People in need of assistance tell us that they are not getting it and that they feel stranded. Folks there say that they were told that the water would not get as high as it ended up getting. Some are voluntarily evacuating. Well, tonight, High Falls is still raging in Monroe County. Take a look at this video showing just how swollen the area is after days and days of heavy rain. Those water levels, again, getting more rain tonight. Well, don't forget, you can be our eyes across Middle Georgia. We want to see your flood pictures and your video, and you have shared some great stuff with us over the last few days. Just email yours to us at weather@wgxa-tv.com. You can also share them on social media. Go to Facebook and find our page by searching WGXA.tv. And we're on Twitter. Follow at WGXA News. Well, a dead body is found in Macon after sitting for days. Later on WGXA News at 11, why investigators need your help. And twisters clearing neighborhoods and ruining the holiday weekend for families across the nation. Why you need to get ready to take cover. A new line of fire tonight from GOP presidential contender Donald Trump. The Republican frontrunner is now taking aim at both Hillary Clinton and her husband, the former President Bill Clinton. Trump is calling into question Bill Clinton's record with women, tweeting, quote, "If Hillary thinks she can unleash her husband with his terrible record of women abuse while playing the women's card on me, she's wrong," unquote. Analysts say Trump's harsh attacks on the Democrats aren't likely to hurt him, at least for now. The big question is how he fares in Iowa, now 5 weeks out.
If he finishes second in the Iowa caucus, which he could do to Ted Cruz, who has a base of support of social conservatives, we don't know what happens if he loses for the first time. That's something that we have not seen Donald Trump face.
The most recent polling out of Iowa shows the Texas senator neck and neck with Donald Trump. Well, at least 46 people are dead. 9 confirmed tornadoes in Texas, leaving a path of destruction 40 miles wide. An EF4 monster touching down in Garland, Texas. Winds up to 200 miles per hour, and a woman whose life was saved by her phone. Here's ABC 16's Jeff Cox with the latest.
That's it! That's it! That's a tornado!
That pack of tornadoes that pummeled Texas, tonight swarming Florida.
Drive! Get on the gas and go!
Clipping the Florida Panhandle and spawning terror in Arkansas yesterday.
Oh my God! Gotta go!
They first touched down Saturday just south of Dallas, carving this 40-mile scar across the landscape. At least 46 have died nationwide since the storms began Wednesday. 8 people died when this wedge descended in the dark.
Oh my gosh, it's big!
The eldest fatality was Cecil Lowry, 77. His wife, Elephant, injured.
She just said, "I think Daddy's gone," but she was obviously in a lot of pain.
They'd been married 52 years. You can see the destruction from the air with Dallas affiliate WFAA. That tornado down here so thoroughly blew apart those houses that not only do people not have a home to go back to, but in many cases, there's nothing left for them to find in that rubble. From the ground, that destruction laid bare. Police crediting a warning system for saving lives of people, like Kim Burleson.
That's your chimney?
Who got the first text to her phone.
And the second one, I went back to the door and I heard the sirens going off. And by the time I got in, the third one was going off and we got in the closet.
And tonight, authorities are saying that so many heeded the warnings and took cover immediately. Still, the timeline for rebuilding won't be measured in the weeks or months, but years. Just awful video from the west. And tonight, that system bringing rain here to middle Georgia, the last thing we need. So when does the rain end? We'll talk about that. We'll look at the 7-day up next. (11:19) on this Monday night. The last thing we need to see is rain moving through middle Georgia. Sure enough, it's here tonight. We'll get a little bit of a break at times tomorrow and then more rain for Wednesday and Thursday, so keep the rain gear close by. What an incredible flood event we've had across middle Georgia. If you had asked me a week ago when the flood watch was first issued, and not just me, I think if you had asked any meteorologist in Georgia, would the flooding rival the worst levels seen since 1994 in Alberto? None of us would have said yes, it would have. And just incredible results of the flooding. Homes evacuated, homes flooded, surrounded by water. But if you go back and watch our newscast late last week, starting Thursday and on Christmas Day, we said these areas will flood. I remember calling out Rex Miller Road in Dublin. We told you homes would flood in Hawkinsville and Abbeville, and that's exactly the areas that have been hit. So we were keeping you ahead of the storm, folks. We had you covered here. And the rain that is adding into tonight is just incredible. Last week, rain total at my house, my rain gauge, 9.12 inches of rain in Macon. That's just incredible. And now I've got more coming down tonight along with the rest of you. These yellows and oranges and reds, just what we don't need. And it's going to continue to go through the overnight hours, and there will be more widespread rain by Wednesday and Thursday. So as I said, keep the umbrella close by. Tonight's rain extends all the way down to the Gulf Coast, but the thunderstorm threat seems to be hugging the Florida area. I think we're going to probably stay storm-free. You may hear a rumble of thunder, but I don't expect any severe weather. First look ahead. Here we are at midnight tonight. The rain continues to move on through. Notice by tomorrow morning, a few showers here or there, but plenty of clouds to start the day. Maybe some fog in the morning as well. Then by the afternoon, more showers in our southeastern counties with maybe a rumble of thunder. As I mentioned, more rain comes in Wednesday. Notice by Wednesday afternoon, rain with thunderstorms coming in our direction, and that'll stick around Wednesday night and through the day Thursday as well. So here's my forecast rain totals for through Thursday, from now through Thursday. Notice the higher totals north of Macon. That's where you're shaded in purple. 1 to 2 inches of rain. Once you get south of Macon, I've got you shaded in blue. That's a 1/2 inch to 1 inch of rain. This is a good news, bad news situation. So for Macon, the Ocmulgee River is crested. It's gone down. Notice south of Macon, that's where the river levels are still going up. But that's where the lower rain totals will be. The bad news is the rain totals up north that are going to be higher, that water has to go downstream eventually. So I don't expect another increase in water levels. What I do expect is them holding steady over the next few days. So it's going to be several more days before we drop below flood stage. So this flooding is going to be prolonged. and it's not going to go away anytime soon. So it's a story we'll have to continue to monitor. This is what you got to deal with tonight. Just awful weather, folks. Look how yucky it is. I'd say if you don't have to go out tonight, just stay at home because you don't want to deal with this. And the temperature, incredible. It's still 70 degrees with a dew point of 68. It's yucky, it's muggy, and if this wind can die down overnight once the rain stops, we're going to end up with quite a bit of fog tomorrow morning. Temperature map around the area, we're in the 60s and 70s now. Eastman, McRae, you were at 80 degrees this afternoon. Recall my winter forecast. I promised you a hot December, and then I said New Year comes, we flip a switch and go cold for January and February. Having said that, I leave you with the 7-day. 70s through Wednesday, we drop to the 60s on Thursday, and how about we flip that switch? January 1st, highs in the 50s and lows approaching freezing. Fish and game forecast will be in the good range at 4 tomorrow morning, in the excellent range at 5 tomorrow afternoon.
New at 11, investigators need your help finding the family of a woman that was found dead in Macon. According to Bibb County Coroner Leon Jones, 48-year-old Kathy Melissa Schaefer was found dead at a residence on Middle Street. He says that she had been dead for more than a day. Jones says that after Schaefer was often seen at the Interstate 75 and Forsyth Road exit asking for money. If you know her next of kin, you can call Coroner Leon Jones at 478-256-6716. We've got an update tonight about a wreck in Byron that shut down Interstate 75 on Christmas night. Byron police say that an 11-year-old girl injured in that accident died. Officers tell us that she was one of 5 children hurt just north of Georgia Highway 49 on Christmas Day. Investigators say an SUV swerved to miss another car coming on from the emergency lane when it rolled about 4 times. Joel and Brittany Wood saw that accident happen in front of them and stopped, and then saw someone free one of the children from the mangled SUV.
I freaked out. I said, you cannot pick her up. You cannot pick her up. She's, you probably just paralyzed her. You need to put her down. And she's sitting there just swinging her around. Please don't die on me. Please don't die on me. And just crying. And at that point, she had her and she's calling 911. And I run back to my wife where the other 3 children were, and I attended to them.
Police say none of the children had seatbelts on, and they were all taken to the hospital. At least 2 remain in critical condition. Investigators are still reconstructing that accident scene and have not filed any charges. We've got more details tonight about a robbery and deadly shooting in Warner Robins. Officers tell us that investigators are performing an autopsy on 19-year-old Jarrell Walker. Authorities say the 29-year-old told officers that Walker tried to rob him on Christmas Day on Oak Ridge Drive, so he fired a pistol, killing him. Police have not charged anyone with a crime in the case. Autopsy results should be in tomorrow. Well, tonight, Bibb County deputies continue searching for 2 men that they believe shot a 64-year-old woman outside of a restaurant. According to the sheriff's report, just before 9 o'clock Sunday night, an employee of the Old Times Buffet on Gray Highway says that she was shot in the hip by 2 men. They also took her money and her apron. She is expected to recover. Deputies only have a vague description of the shooters, saying that they were 2 black men. If you've got any information, you can call Crime Stoppers at 877-68-CRIME. Well, another shooting in Macon leaves a man recovering tonight. He was shot in the back at his home on Milton Avenue on Sunday. Listen up, because we do have some brand new information for you tonight. Bibb County Sheriff's deputies tell us a witness saw a black man shooting at the home and then running away. Investigators did find several bullet holes in the victim's home, as well as his vehicle, and shell casings from a 9mm. If you've got any information about this crime, you can call Crime Stoppers at 877-68-CRIME. Well, new information tonight in the shooting death of a 17-year-old Macon girl. This afternoon, one of the 2 suspects in the case, 19-year-old Felton Lee King, made his first appearance in Bibb County Magistrate Court. King's lawyer argued that the murder charge is too harsh since he wasn't in the room when the shooting happened. The judge is sending the case to Superior Court. Bibb County deputies say that Felton King and 16-year-old Romare King are responsible for shooting the teen at Westminster Apartments on December 23rd. She died at the hospital on Christmas Day. Romare King is being held at a juvenile detention center right now. We've got more news on the way, but first, here's a look at what's coming up later on tonight on Nightline.
Hello and thanks. Later tonight on Nightline, outrage in Chicago after another police shooting. Could a different kind of training have prevented this tragedy? Tonight, meet a specialized mental health squad and why refugees are peddling across the Russian border. That's on Nightline. Back to you.
As we go to break, here's a look at what's coming up in just a few minutes on Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Here's the latest masterpiece we hope you hang on your refrigerator. How you doing? How are you?
Got some breaking news for you tonight. A Texas teenager who avoided jail time for murder because of an affluenza defense has been found in Mexico. Ethan Couch fled after authorities determined that he violated the terms of his probation. Couch was 16 and driving under the influence when he hit and killed 4 people on a Texas road in 2013. Tests showed that his blood alcohol level was 3 times the legal limit after the crash. At trial, Couch's lawyers argued that the teen suffered from affluenza, meaning that he was a rich kid whose parents had not set limits for him and therefore didn't know right from wrong. He was placed on probation and ordered into long-term mental health treatment. But in November, social media posts showed Couch playing a drinking game, which would have been a clear violation of the conditions that kept him out of jail in the first place. When a warrant was issued for his arrest, he and his mom both fled. Now Mexican authorities say that they have found Couch and his mother near the popular resort town of Puerto Vallarta. He'll be turned over to U.S. Marshals.
Sure, we'll learn more about that over the next 24 hours.
I think so.
More rain tonight. I know we're all surprised by this, and some of it will linger overnight and into tomorrow morning. Latest look at the radar. You'll see what's happening right now. The tower cam there showing raindrops falling across the area, and that's what you've got to deal with tonight. You can see the yellows and oranges embedded in this, and even back to the west of Montezuma, some red shading. All of that's heavy rain at times, folks, and this is falling in areas that don't need it, and it'll continue to stream from the southwest to the northeast during the overnight hours. Also very warm. It's still 70+ degrees from Macon south. So
it's almost January.
It's ridiculous. But once the rain tapers off tonight, fog is possible by tomorrow morning, so keep that in mind. Raymond, a couple things. Record high today, but I mentioned my winter forecast. I said hot December, no doubt about it, but January and February are going to be cold. It's just going to flip a switch.
Right.
50s and 30s by Friday.
Well, that's going to be an adjustment after what we've had, too.
I mean, huge shock to the system. So we go from these severe threats and heat to this cold and cloudy for the weekend. I'm not sure which I'd rather have.
And we'll have to wait and see what winter has in store for us. It may be an interesting ride.
It's only about a third of the way through for meteorologists.
Yeah, well, thanks for watching WGXA ABC 16 News at 11. Now stay tuned for Jimmy Kimmel Live.
We'll see you tomorrow. Have a great night.